After the last video where we got pretty heavy and divisive, let's kick back and have a bit of fun. And what could possibly be more fun than bands of swashbucklers and all the booty that comes with them? A bottle of the harshest swill, enough citrus to fight off scurvy, and some looting and pillaging is the best thing to cleanse the palate. From a passing reference in a later mission in Warcraft 2, to a single map in Warcraft 3, to the many pirate factions in World of Warcraft, let's talk about the history of piracy on the high seas of the Warcraft universe. Welcome to Ancient Lore, a discussion series where we peel back the layers of world building and story to examine, understand, and discuss where we came from in the World of Warcraft. Today's topic is piracy, and as always, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below or connect with me on my Discord. Quickly setting our parameters, there's only a few things I generally write off when it comes to pirates and buccaneers in World of Warcraft. Pretty much all the novels and comics as per usual, as well as a lot of the older privateer background work done in the RPG books, are verboten in this. I know the RPG books are generally written off already, but I like to be specific where I can. Otherwise, even the BFA pirate and privateer quests are relatively inoffensive and enjoyable. I'll comment on this towards the close of this piece, but shockingly enough, scurvy sea dogs are one of the few things Blizzard's done a good job of in writing consistently and effectively throughout the Warcraft expansions. All of piracy and everything Buccaneer in Warcraft started with a single mission in Warcraft 2. During Uther's early missions as one of the leaders of the Silver Hand, he was asked to bring much-needed supplies and aid to the destroyed settlement at Kyrdero, having just been ransacked by the Horde for the precious giant runestone it guarded. Having set out throughout the riverways feeding out of the Alterachi highlands, they were ambushed by pirates and raiders, keen on those supplies that the Silver Hand forces guarded. This was not only the first mention of privateers in the Warcraft universe, but also led to the discovery by the Alliance that Alterac had betrayed the Alliance and sided with the Horde. The theme of water assaults and naval engagements were one of the core additions in Warcraft 2, as seen on the truly stellar box art that was done for the game. It's unfortunate that we didn't see too much of the use of buccaneers or privateers in the game. That hat on the Alliance gent is stellar stuff. Fast forward to Warcraft 3. While we don't see any actual pirates in the 3rd edition of the Warcraft RTS titles, we do see a couple of important things. The first is the addition of mercenaries. Lots and lots of mercenaries. You can find mercenary camps all over almost every single map in the game in some fashion, whether it's ogres, trolls, goblins, or even the Hero Hall, the tavern that you can recruit from. The other important note in Warcraft 3 is one single map, a very importantly named map that would have some importance when Blizzard translated the RTS into an MMO world. And that map was the legendary Booty Bay. I know, one map may not be a big deal, but it was a really popular map, which kept it in the forefront of the minds of the developers as they were putting the MMO world together. They had to start asking the question, what was Booty Bay? And thus, so much of the pirating world would be born out of the southern tip of Stranglethorn. Let's start there with World of Warcraft and talk about what Booty Bay became and what we know about pirates in WoW because of it. Booty Bay is a giant city on stilts, a pirate cove haven located at the very southernmost point of Stranglethorn Vale. In it, the Blackwater Raiders have established their independent port, free of interference from the Goblin trade princes and in direct opposition of the Bloodsail Buccaneers. While they maintain relations with the Steamweedle Cartel, the privateers of the Blackwater Raiders bow to no one and are led by the scurvy Baron Revelgaz and his longtime Tauren ally, Fleet Master Seahorn. We learn a few things from this fine piratey crew. The first and most critical point is that it clearly defines that the different privateer and buccaneer organizations all maintain their own independent fleets, and indicates these groups may have a level of strength that is, up to this point in Warcraft lore, not really understood. The second point thanks to not only the presence of Fleet Master Seahorn, but also some of the kill quests that are given by these NPCs, is that Buccaneer fleets are organized primarily by individuals named Fleet Masters. Tertiarily, we also can see that captains operate their own ships throughout this quest, which feels obvious to say, but we're trying to cover all of our bases, and these captains operate at the pleasure of the Fleet Masters. These all are great points to lay down, and lets us look at other pirate groups with a good basis to work off of. Speaking of pirates of the Eastern Kingdoms, we have to then bring up the Bloodsail Buccaneers. Directly opposed to the Free People's Cove city of Booty Bay, they're in it for the loot, pillaging, and stealing anything they can. Most of their fleet is centered around Stranglethorn and the southern tip of the Eastern Kingdoms, with a few ships we can get into being helmed by a pair of captains and a fleet master. While the actions of Booty Bay take them down a peg during the vanilla adventures, they're nonetheless a deadly and greedy threat to much of the Eastern Kingdom coastal towns and settlements. The biggest thing about the Bloodsail Buccaneers is they're big enough that they keep supplies running through most of Stranglethorn, enough to where players can buy supplies from them as well as build a reputation with them, eventually allowing people to purchase classy pirate admiral hats. They're the embodiment of bad boy pirates in the Warcraft universe, and getting certain levels of rep with them is seen as a badge of honor. I'll also note that while most other pirate groups are pretty standard pirates or use very basic levels of frost magic, the Bloodsail have no compulsion against more extreme kinds of casting. Amongst their numbers are a lot of warlocks, and I think this was Blizzard leaning into the blood in Bloodsail, with Voidwalkers and Imps commonplace amongst their numbers. Another set of Buccaneers on the Eastern Kingdoms that we should highlight really quick are the Defias and the Orcish Juggernaut they've rebuilt. While not a fleet or even a real pirating group as of yet, they never set sail, they have everything else going for them, including wonderful parrots players love to collect. Lots of cannons, plenty of Buccaneers, swashbuckling, and preparing inside their cave. The Defias pirates were ready to ship off on their refurbished Juggernaut had the players not intervened. They get credit for trying, for sure. Even had a Tauren in leadership, which, for some reason, seems to be a consistency with some pirating groups, but that's all they get. They never get to properly swashbuckle. Before we get to our last group of pirates I want to talk about, I do want to take a moment to ask why multiple groups of Buccaneers around the Warcraft universe have Tauren as first mates and fleet masters. A race known almost entirely for surviving in dry, arid, or open field kind of environments, in theory, would make the worst sailors ever. Instead, in both the Blackwater Raiders and Defias Pirates, we see Tauren taking serious positions of power within the organizations, and, for all we know, being stellar in these roles, again, as far as we understand. More power to them, we salute our seafaring cud-chewing brethren. The last group, and possibly the most piratey of all of them, are the South Seas Pirates. Situated out of a massive port settlement in Tanaris, the South Sea Pirates smuggle everything from illicit art to alcohol to weapons and gear, and could easily be considered one of the largest groups of buccaneers in the world based on their population and amount of ships they have spread throughout the eastern coast of Kalimdor. Besides a few vessels they have at their docks, there's a ship or two far off the coast from Steamweedle Port, and a few more around the area of Theramore in Dustwallow Marsh. More importantly, we see a couple really critical details with the South Sea Pirates. The first is, we see that they're building more ships at their docks, with a dry dock ship currently in construction, actively adding to their fleet. The second is, we see the sheer mass of loot and plunder they've accrued in their settlement, with at least one building dedicated to just storing their booty. A note on their plunder, they have some weird and old stuff stored away, with multiple Titan relics in plain view in that building. The last thing I want to point out is their leadership isn't even at the port we see in game. And while that may indicate they don't have any kind of organization, I feel with a fleet of their size and the fact that they've accrued so much loot indicates the opposite. The assumption is then that their fleet master and most captains are off doing piratey stuff or acquiring more loot. As a fun side note, the South Sea Pirates have probably the most piratey quests in the entirety of vanilla. The players get to collect their pirate hats, steal some booze, raid their barracks and ships, and even put scraps of maps together and go on a treasure hunt. It's great questing fun, and an area I make sure to hit up every time I'm leveling a new character in vanilla. Piracy in later expansions continues to be explored, and while I don't know nearly as much of it as well as the Buccaneers in vanilla, they generally meet the vibe check really well, at least through BFA when I put retail down for good. One of the few things that Blizzard has continued to get right throughout the World of Warcraft, pirates are consistently fun, lighthearted, and great villains or entrepreneurs that add to the world every time they're brought in. We close this book of Warcraft history here and save the rest for another time. If you've enjoyed this feature, please consider subscribing here at youtube.com/thedannation, as well as joining my Discord at tinyurl.com/danscord. It's a Discord, but with 100% more Dan. A big thank you to Turtle Wow, where most of the visual footage you see during this episode was recorded at, as well as having provided the backing track for this piece. An additional thank you goes to those who signed up for memberships here on YouTube. Your financial support is greatly appreciated. From the Lore Bunker here in Boston, Massachusetts, this is Dan wishing you a wonderful and wide, wide world of lore.